Hi, everybody.
I'm Kayla.
I'm Cody.
With B.Bloomed Yoga.
And we have decided to start doing I guess it's a podcast or a video blog, a vlog, if you will, because we have separate Instagram accounts, and we're trying to decide if we're going to merge those into one B.Bloomed account and have our separate personal accounts. But we're trying to do this as an attempt to have like a unified kind of some content we're putting out, the two of us together.
Right.
And we're thinking it'd be a good. We all love listening to podcasts, so this is our kind of our. We're taking a stab at it by doing this, and we want it to be about relationships,
parenting.
Yep. Marriage.
Our knowledge, marriage, our knowledge. Yoga and Buddhism and
mindfulness,
meditation,
all that good stuff.
Real life examples and how we conquer.
Yep, how we live it. And we're talking about having some guests on who can share their stories. But today we figured we'd kick things off by telling our personal transformation stories. That's something I've alluded to a lot on some of my articles and like on our newsletter and some of my posts. I haven't really talked about it. Kayla has her personal story, so we're going to tell those today for episode 1. So Kayla, why don't you tell them your story?
Okay, so I feel like growing up probably always, we as a majority, people struggle with self-image and self-esteem because there's so many people out there telling you what you need to look like and being photoshopped so that you see these highlighted versions of these people. And so I struggled for a really long time with my self-esteem and self-image, and always loving myself, what I thought was loving myself, but still in the back of my mind saying, oh, I wish I didn't have cellulite, or I wish that I looked a little bit better. And
I love your cellulite.
So for a long time I struggled, like always wanting to be a better physical version of myself. But last year, and I've talked about this before, but it was almost exactly a year ago, I ran an ultra Ragnar race. Long story short, 6 people running 200 miles. We had a lady drop out a couple weeks before. So there were 5 of us that ran 200 miles, and I had to run 42 miles total. All 5 of us had to run 42 miles. And so
in 33 hours.
And
that's
finished
almost 2 marathons in 33 hours.
Yeah. So we were ballers, and it was awesome. And after that, I realized that it was like the hardest thing I'd ever done, harder than childbirth. And I realized that I could do anything, and I became super proud of my body and mind and just myself. And then shortly after that, I went to Shelby's yoga retreat with Return Journey Yoga, and we just did a lot of self-reflection and looking within. And I came home from that, and I fell in love with myself. Like, I looked at my flaws as strengths, and it was really incredible to completely do that switch. And now I can honestly wake up every day, look myself in the face in the mirror, and say that I love myself. And I feel like that's been a huge transformation for me, from going from wanting to be different, look different, complain about these things about myself, and now be fully in love with myself and be bloomed.
Nice. Yeah. And well, you talked about how, to me, you mentioned how like your weight, you like lost so much weight. You lost like 20 pounds. And you said the only thing you did different was you just started loving yourself.
Yeah.
And your weight regulated instead of being so super like fluctuating all the time.
Right.
So self-esteem was your big transformation, going from low self-esteem to not having to struggle with that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that's powerful. A lot of people out there, can relate to what you're saying in terms of struggling with self-esteem. And in future episodes, we'll probably get more into the details of Kayla's transformation in terms of self-esteem. We're trying to keep these episodes around 10 minutes. So I'm going to dive into, because it's hard to sit down and listen to an hour and 2 hour podcast. We want to start out with little bite-sized episodes, see how it goes. But now when it comes to my transformation, I had gone down this path of studying a lot about the economy, the Federal Reserve System. Then it took me down other rabbit holes like, fluoride in the water, chemtrails. There's so much crazy stuff going on out there, and it's a lot of truth mixed with lies. But there's a lot to it that is. If you're not guarding your mind properly, you can get lost in it in terms of fear and paranoia, because the reptilian brain, like I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I want to protect my wife and kids. When I start learning about how some of the things in society are set up, not necessarily in our best interests, it basically, unbeknownst to me, I was in this super fear paranoia state without even realizing it, and it got to a point where I started getting sick. I started getting allergies. I never had allergies before in my entire life. Crazy allergies. Just my health was falling apart, even though I was working out, eating right, drinking a gallon of water a day, doing my yoga, all that stuff. And actually, I don't think I was really super into yoga. I was off and on, but I wasn't getting into it seriously. But the point is, I was getting sick, and my buddies at work were like, "Dude, you're like the sickest healthy guy we know. What's going on with you?" And it was a kind of sickness where you couldn't quite pinpoint it. Like it wasn't quite a flu, it wasn't quite a sinus infection, it wasn't quite like a head cold. It was just this weird sickness, and it went on for months.
And then,
months.
Yeah, and then the kids and I got sick.
Kayla started getting sick. The kids started getting sick.
We thought we had black mold.
We thought we had black mold in the house, and we were like, "Well, what else could it be?" And we're starting to look into who can come check our house for black mold. Well, then one morning I'm watching this documentary. It's about the Federal Reserve. It's about, our fiat currency system. It's about chemtrails, fluoride in the water. I'm just shaking my fist, let's go get them. I feel this need to I'm just always asking myself, what can we do to what can little old me do to fix these big problems? And nothing you can do. But this documentary basically helped me understand it. So the first 2/3 of the documentary is doom and gloom. The last third of the documentary was about our consciousness and how our thoughts and emotions affect our consciousness and affects our bodies. And I'm a musician and I play guitar and other instruments. And they're talking about the chakra system. They said that chakras are like a harmonic on a guitar string. For some reason, when they said that, it triggered something in my mind to where I, in an instant, realized that my thoughts and emotions were causing my physical sickness. And what happened was the symptoms of my sickness left my body in an instant. And I'm not kidding. It wasn't minutes later. It wasn't hours or days later. It was instantaneous remission from my symptoms. Because in Buddhism, it's called a Bodhi awakening, where you become the knower of your mind. It was like a DMT experience, but in an instant. And all the sickness left my body. I went to work that morning. I called Kayla, and she was like, "We feel better. How are you feeling?" And so, because they had been sick with me for weeks and weeks and weeks as well, and we all were suddenly healed because I got the black mold was in here and in here. Once I realized that, we were fully bloomed, and which is kind of where B.Bloomed came from. Actually, Tegan came up with the idea of B.Bloomed. So, anyways, guys, that's episode 1. That's our transformation story in a nutshell. We'll talk more about it. We love you all, and we look forward to putting more of these out so we can kind of share our message together, the two of us, instead of separately in our Instagram channels and our social media. So we love you guys.
Love you. Be bloomed.